Hey folks, welcome back to Build Beyond with Tecton. Today we got a real treat for you. We got Hudson Wikoff in the house, who has been a fitness coach going back to 2009. He has great reputation there. People love him. People use him a lot. He's also one of the great coaches in the program, which is a great program, and I recommend it for everyone. But most of all, he's a man of God, man of faith, and he loves family. It's his passion. You talk to him about family, and you'll see it in our episode today that he just loves the family. He loves his desire, his focus on helping us, helping you as a coach is to make your mindset better, make your relationships better, make your relation with your kids better. Like, let's just bring it in. So, first of all, Hudson, one of the things that I've admired about you going through, following you and everything is just your focus on, you're wanting to help people. You're wanting to help people have a better relationship with quite frankly, their own mind, their own body, and because you believe that translates to a better relationship with your family and your kids.
100%, man. I appreciate you having me on today. Excited to be here. Yeah, I see this happen so often. You know, we're in this, being in the fitness world since 2009. I grew up in a small town, Fulton, Illinois, and then moved to Indianapolis. But it wasn't really until I moved to Indianapolis to where I really dove deep into fitness. And I started looking at statistics, and statistics showed that 75% of the world was either overweight or obese. And it was really hard for me to see that because the world that I lived in this little bubble of just hanging out with athletes all the time. And it wasn't until I'd start to go and see the zoo or the children's museum and what was really happening out there. And then it really started, like a light bulb moment went off to where it's like, I got to start to help, I got to start to make a dent. And so that's exactly what I've done going back to that time frame. And that's one of my main missions is try to have a biggest impact that I can. Yeah, I don't know how deep we'll go into this right now, but you fast forward over a decade of coaching, and I had only helped 5,000 people. Like, it sounds cool, right? 5,000 people, but really in like the grand scheme of things, when you think of how many people, we'll just look at America, right? 335 million, right?
Yeah,
somewhere right around there. What's 5,000 of that?
Yeah, well,
it's nothing, right?
Yeah. Well, when it comes to math, but one person helping 5,000, you can't discredit that. That's really great. And
well, so that's when I had that shift, and this was probably back in, and I'm sure we'll get deeper into this. This was probably back in like 2021-ish time frame as I started shifting and coaching other coaches. So I figured, hey, if I can go impact 5,000 people, what happens if I take the same methodologies that I've been doing and package it up for other coaches to now go impact 5,000 people, impact 5,000 coaches to go impact 5,000 people each. Now we're making a dent.
Yeah, compounding.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's what it's about, man.
That's really cool. I didn't know that about you, what you're doing there. That's really cool. One of the things that I really want to get deep into is if following you on Instagram, on your fitness Instagram, it's all about family. Like so tell me a little bit about the routine of how you put your fitness into the family, how you integrate that, because I think it's important to integrate, have your family see that matters to you.
Yeah, lead by example with my family. And just like you said, I think it's one of the most important things because it's so easy to put ourselves last.
Yeah.
And when we put ourselves last, who are we really? Who's that really affecting?
Yeah.
It's affecting our babies.
Yeah.
It's affecting our spouse, right? Because we can't show up in our fullest capacity, right? And
we're leaving things on the table that they actually love us because of that. They've seen that in us, and if we're not keeping that up and improving it, then
100%. I mean, everyone listening to this and probably in this room can probably attest to, like, there's been a time where you get home from work and the kids say, hey, let's go out and play. And you say, hey, just give me 10 seconds to go ahead and sit down on the couch and relax for a minute, right? 10 seconds goes by. What happens? You're still sitting on that couch, right? Nothing happened. Now imagine if you have the energy and the capacity to be able to get up and say, you know what? I had a long freaking day at work. I'm a little tired, but I still got some left for you.
No, that's so true. And last night, I can testify it right like that. I went from my truck straight to my pool.
Mhm.
I didn't even sit on the couch. Why? Because I have energy. I've been doing cardio, doing some workout for the last 3 months. I have energy to go and spend time with my little girl, my little boy
Yeah.
that just loves the pool. So I went directly to the pool from work because I have that energy. So I can definitely testify to that.
I've struggled for many, many years with fitness, even being a fitness coach, right? Because I'm constantly pouring into others that it's easy to put myself last. And what I found to be the number one way, one, just to have the most productive day.
Yeah.
Where again, we'll probably talk about some AI stuff today and how I can literally show you how to turn 3 days into 1 day or even less than that. But how do you be the most productive is to show up in your fullest capacity. And when you wake up and you work out in the morning, you do some meditation, you do some gratefulness practices, journaling, whatever it is, you send out some text messages to some family and some friends, and you're able to show up in your fullest capacity. Like now having your day set up that way, showing your kids that you're leading by example. So this was probably like, probably roughly 6 months ago. And my oldest daughter, she's 7. She, right before we go to bed, she goes, "Daddy, can I work out with you in the morning?"
That's so cool.
And it's nothing but leading by example. Right. And so now my 7-year-old is waking up before school to work out with me. And I told her, I go, "You understand what you're asking, right?" And she goes, "Yeah." I was like, you fully understand what you're getting yourself into, right? And she says, "Yeah." Well, I said, "Well, Palmer, if you say that you're going to do this, then I'm going to hold you to your word. And I want you to honor your word because that's what we do, right?"
Yeah.
And she said, "Okay." So I said, "Palmer, 100% in that you want to wake up in the morning before school." And she goes, she sat there and she thought about it for a little bit. And probably 10 seconds goes by and she goes, "I'm all in, Daddy."
Oh, that's so cool.
Get choked up talking about it here. There was no greater joy in my life to see, like, I never pushed this on my kids. Like I never told them like, "Hey, go do this thing." It was just me showing up different and leading by example. And there's a great saying, great quote I took from a mentor of mine, that your daughter will marry you and your son will become you.
Yeah.
And there's been many times in my life where I've looked in the mirror and I said, "I'm not the man I want my son to be. I'm not the man that I can approve my daughter to marry. I gotta go become that man."
So powerful. And I mean, to your point there, that sends chills up my back hearing such a great story. My oldest is only, she'll be 3 in June, but just hearing that's what I want. And it takes leading by example. If I'm where I'm at when she's 7, you think she's going to come and want to work out and commit to me? I haven't even done that, and so I love that story, and it just gives a determination with me. It's like, be that man. I mean, if let's fast forward 15 years and my daughter's 18, 19, am I going to approve her hanging out with the guy at my that I am right now? I'm not. No. So I've got to make that change and integrate. And one of the things that I love about my routine is most of the time, getting better at this, but most of the time I'll do body weight workouts in the morning where I just go out in the living room or do something and do a bunch of routines. And my kids all the time, if they're awake by then, they'll come and they want to be around me. So what do? I use them as weights.
Love it, man.
Like doing sit-ups. Like I had one experience where I came back and knocked my girl in the head, like without knowledge. So now what do? I pick them up and do sit-ups with them.
Yes.
And it's really cool. They love it. And I think that helps them see that Dad's determined to commit and be something better.
Isn't it funny? Like the dynamic of the house, like the kids go to the mom to cuddle the most, right? To get the attention, but they come to Dad to roughhouse and to do those types of things. And when they are ready to do that, like we have to show up and be ready for that.
Absolutely.
Right? Because if we're not, hey, give me 10 seconds, I'm going to sit on the couch. What does that reinforce? Reinforces that we're not going to show up for them.
Yeah. And we just recently got our yard done that has a pool, a big nice lawn, a play set and all that. So, and a basketball court, and so I come home, there's no time for me to sit because my daughter wants to run outside, wants to do everything, wants to swim and everything. And backtrack even 6 months, I couldn't have had the energy and determination that I have today for that.
Yeah. What do you think has been the biggest difference maker as far as like your morning routine or your workouts that has now given you this newfound energy?
Honestly, man, looking at I went through a transition over the last 6 months where it's like I'm struggling. I was really struggling wanting to like be there for my kids because it's a hard time communicating with them, right? You can't communicate. Like they don't understand, like they don't re-communicate and understand and have a conversation about business, about what you're into. But I changed my mindset to that those children, my wife, my relationship is actually my purpose. And so every time I get up in the morning, it's just like, well, what do my kids want to see me do? What do I want my kids to do when they're my age? And it's bringing in the most important things in my life, my children, my wife, my commitments at home, my four walls that Nick Alfano likes to say, inside your four walls. That's my purpose. And from there, it's just like, it's easy for me to do that morning routine, to work out, to make sure I get 3 miles in of cardio. So I make sure I don't eat those bad carbs. Make sure I don't eat that sugar and all that. Eat steak. And quite frankly, I mean, that's so cool because now my daughter, she don't like sugar and stuff. She wants to eat the steaks. She wants to eat the stuff that dad and mom eat. So it's really cool. So I just want to say the most impactful thing is my kids. Yeah. Envisioning what I want my kids to be.
Yeah, dude, when you start to show up in that type of frame and that type of mindset and having the capacity around it, is how do you operate differently on a day-to-day basis because of that?
So much.
Dude, so much different, right? And it's so easy to put work first or business first. And when we do that, everything else goes on the back burner.
Yeah. Well, and I'm so much that way. Like I didn't get where I'm going by not focusing a little bit of time on business.
Of course you have to, right? You have to.
And one of the things that my wife has identified about me is like, you're happiest being productive, being business. But she just specifically asked me, just come home and do it. Like haul the kids around, go chase them in the yard while you're talking to your partners. Like do something like that. And I thought about that for a long time. And I'm like, that's really cool because if I'm partnered with somebody that doesn't allow me to have some good times with my kids, I'm with the wrong people.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the kids. So now I'll come home at 6 or 7 and just, I don't necessarily, I'll always put my partners, any kind of business conversation on hold, say, hey, I need to take care of my daughter for a minute, and they love that. They love that. And so that's what's really worked for me. And it's been me and my wife, Tammy, just going over like what's going to keep you happy, but allow you to do what you need with the kids because they love you.
What you just said is like, hits home hard with me too, in that you putting the phone down and saying, hey, hold on, I got to address this. Like imagine you and I having a conversation right now and you're asking me a question and I'm sitting here like this. Yep. How often does that happen though, right? Yeah. And I see it all the time when I go out to restaurants. I see couples like on their phone. It's like, didn't you guys come out to like have a conversation and eat? I mean, that's the only time my wife can ever talk, my wife and I, because our kids, like they know when we're having a conversation, they're going to come up and start talking, right? But having the ability to say, no, I put you first. This can wait. Yeah. You get down on one knee. You get down to their level. You make direct eye contact with them and you put a hand on their arm. Say, I'm here. I'm fully present for you.
I heard that in the EV12, the program, one of those, I think it was when all you coaches were up there and talking about that. I've noticed that when I get down, sitting Indian style, get down on my knees and just really be present to that child. It's like there's nothing else. They'll just sit there and listen to me talk. Yeah. But when I'm standing up looking down at them, they just want to run. They just want to run. Like they don't want to listen to me anything. But when I get down there, they're just like.
If you truly want to change your child's behavior, in how they're acting, talking down on them, yelling at them is not the way. Yeah. You can completely derail, de-escalate any situation that's happening in your house by getting down on one knee, putting your hand on them, getting their attention in a calm way, right? Just have a normal conversation because they're humans too.
Yeah. So it's crazy that the personality and the personable relationship you can have once you realize, the kids, they want you to be at their level. They want you to talk to them. Like I'll sit there and I'll hold my little boy who's 9 months old, and he's a wired guy. Like he wants to be going, he wants to be walking, unless I'm looking at him in the eyes and just talking to him, being positive to him. Just like, you're a badass, man. Like, I'm leaving you a legacy you're going to carry on. And he will sit there and just watch me for 10 minutes. It's crazy.
I love it, man. Really and cool. Pouring in that type of attention, like that's what it's about. Like you said, the purpose of you now showing up to work in a different capacity and being able to be even more savage, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is because of the purpose. The purpose is every single day you wake up and you say, hey, like, I got to go do this. I got to go crush this workout, this business opportunity, whatever it is that stands in front of you for the day, for them.
Yeah, and it's for them. One of the things I've noticed over the last, because I've really changed, and EV12 helped me as well, and we'll get into that in a minute. But the what's really helped me from focusing on my children, my family, and the importance, I feel such a passion, and I get choked up talking about it and everything about my family, as I come to work now knowing that people can love me because I have my love for the most important thing in the world. And so I come to work with so much more confidence, because whatever happens to me, people will still love me because my focus is my kids.
Yeah.
And if people don't love you for that, then you don't want to be with them. You don't want to do business with them.
Right.
The most important thing is the family.
Well, typically what I see is that any objections someone has on you, typically speaking, or if you offend them or if you trigger them by anything that you do or say, it's a direct reflection of themselves, and it's something that they need to process. It's just you holding a mirror, right? We're a reflection of our inner thoughts and experiences. That's what the world is. The world that you see is completely different than mine because of the experiences that you've experienced up to this point, to this very moment today. And so I always think that that's super interesting, right? Like you said, you come into work, you do something wrong, you say something wrong, like the love that's shown, like you're okay with it either way.
Yeah.
Like either option is a possibility, but like the love that you have for them and for your family, that's all that matters.
Yeah. And I'm good friends with Brad, and we talk quite a bit. But one of the things that he was giving me shit about my weight and everything, and I love it. That's why I hang out with him, is because it keeps me accountable.
He'll pull your card.
Yeah. And I says, dude, I'm doing 20 million a year. I have good profits. Like, and I'm fat. Like, why do I need to go be uncomfortable working out and this stuff and that stuff? And he just like, well, what if you knew that you'd be doing 80 or 100 million a year if you just fucking get your ass out there and go to work? And it really switched something to me. It's just like, well, maybe that is my problem. Maybe if I focus on myself, my own health, then I can help people out more. And maybe that's why I've been topped out at, give or take 20 million a year for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Oof. And dude, I see that vision ever since I've been working out for 3 years, or for 3 months. I see that vision. I see the potential. And so like, but what has changed is the purpose has become greater than the uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, that purpose in allowing yourself to show up differently.
Yeah.
And allowing yourself to now start to think differently and to have more clarity and to change your mood so that you can show up more consistently. Like, what does that get you now a year from today?
Yeah.
Like, does that take you from that 20 to the 30? Because of that little door that has been swung open just slightly. Right? That's all it sometimes takes.
And it starts with you. Like if your mindset isn't open to that opportunity, you're not going to get that opportunity. No matter your relationships. If you haven't done the work to open your mindset, change your mindset a little bit, people are not going to give you opportunities.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm seeing. Like it's crazy cool. Like there's a lot of opportunity once you start changing your mindset.
Oh my gosh, man. It's so much.
Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to chat with you a little bit about, and I think that this would be really cool to get into like your coaching history and give the listeners here a little bit of insight about your coaching. And that is like, what do you do? I come to you and I say, Hudson, I need help. I need to lose weight. give me seven truths about weight loss that will help me envision myself losing that pound or 2 pounds a week.
Yeah. Oh, man. So just to set the stage is that I no longer take clients on one-on-one anymore. I do have coaches who do. I pretty much just kind of run that business, but I have coaches that run it now to be able to help, again, more people and to grow the business. But with that being said, I'd say like the biggest key takeaways for you to live the healthiest lifestyle that you can is to learn and do as much education as you can in the field of nutrition and in diet and exercise. I'm not saying like go get certified in anything, but watch YouTube videos is to expand your knowledge on what's true and what's not true, and experiment, right? When I say experiment is remove foods from your body. Like if you feel like junk, cool, let's go ahead and take out some grains. Let's take out some dairy. Let's remove alcohol, right? And just experiment and like what's working, what's not working. And use it as that constant feedback loop. Okay, I took out dairy. The bloat has gone away.
Yeah.
Cool, I got super dry skin. I took out some grains. My skin's starting to get smoother, right? Our body is always talking to us, but we never listen.
That's a bomb right there.
And it's as simple as when you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
The Bristol-Myers stool chart. Right, anyone can go Google this and see TMI here, but we're going to talk about poop.
No, I love it.
Yeah. What does your poop look like? Right. And you can look at the Bristol-Myers stool chart and you can put it down. You can say, okay, like what does it look like today? Awesome. What do I need to change? Do I need to add more fiber? Maybe I need to add a little more fiber, get some more vegetables in. Does that change my stools? Yes, no. Feedback loop. Cool. What do I need to adjust? Like we're in business, the world of business, like we're so focused on our numbers. We're so focused on the money in, money out. We're so focused on all that stuff, right? But why are we not focused on what's coming in and out of our body? The one temple that God gave us to be able to live the life that we say that we want to live. And we're not focused on that.
Why aren't we learning ourselves? Taking that. So I want to write that down. So what was that? The poop.
Oh, the Bristol-Myers stool.
Bristol?
Bristol, Bristol, Meyers. Okay. It's funny. I don't know if we talk about poop. We're going to talk about poop on here anyway. So
yeah, this is all about what we can do to improve ourselves.
For those of you that are already healthy, right? It pays to be healthy.
Oh yeah.
It pays to be healthy, not just for what we've talked about so far. But I'm going through it's called humanmicrobes.org. You guys can go home and check this thing out. But for those of us that are healthy enough, this is going to get kind of sick, by the way. So if you guys aren't ready for this, is that you can donate your poop. So as long as you have good, healthy gut bacteria, as long as you're in good physical shape, you haven't taken antibiotics, which kill off good gut bacteria. And that's why if you do, for some reason, like try not to take antibiotics at all costs, but if you do have to take it, have a loaded amount of prebiotics immediately following that. Just load them in, right? You should be taking some anyway. But you want to build those good gut bacteria back up. But this is typically what's causing a lot of the autoimmune diseases that are out there is we have a lack of good gut bacteria and bacteria in our intestines and our colon. And so that's essentially what's feeding our body, right? And processing the nutrients that we're taking in. And so with humanmicrobes.org, what they're doing as a company is they're actually taking, this is where it gets sick, they're actually taking other people's fecal matter and they're essentially transplanting it into other people's colons and intestines.
Really?
Yes.
As long as it's healthy.
As long as it's healthy. You have to go through this long approval process, make sure that everything's healthy, that you look like you're in physical shape, that you haven't been on antibiotics, that the actual fecal matter has good gut bacteria in it, and it pays about roughly $180K a year.
Oh, wow.
So when I say it pays to be healthy,
it pays to be healthy,
brother.
One of the things you talked a little bit about antibiotics. So I am the youngest of 11 kids from my mom. And she gave all of her kids antibiotics like the doctor recommended, all the flu shots, all that stuff until it got to me. And she says, I'm not going to give him any antibiotics as a kid. He's not going to get any of those, shots.
Vaccines.
Vaccines or anything. And I am by far the healthiest kid out of all of them.
As an amazing.
And I just carry that on. Like I'd rather just not take antibiotics and take natural stuff and do all that. So that's really cool that you brought that up. Like antibiotics are not good for your body, but sometimes you may need to take them. Yeah. Counteract that with
there is definitely time and place. As healthy as I have been over the past 15 years, we're still exposed to outside environment that can still penetrate our body. What's the biggest organ on our body?
Your gut.
Our skin.
Oh, your skin.
Most people don't realize that.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought it was your gut.
It takes in everything. So if you put cologne on, if you put on different types of deodorants, right? Different types of lotions that have chemicals in them, we're taking that stuff into our body. And our liver's there meant to process it and break it down. But back in 2010 to 15, I was working for corporate DuPont and doing fitness stuff on the side during that time. But I shifted in 2013. So I was around some chemicals, like had a sulfuric acid spill and breathe that in. And you literally can't breathe if you've ever been around sulfuric acid. It just takes the oxygen away. So I had to run to the other side of the building just to try to breathe. But when I transferred over to DuPont Pioneer, I was constantly around Roundup Ready chemicals, the different chemicals that they actually put on. There was some chemicals or some of the seeds that we would put on, like 14 different chemicals before it even went into the ground.
Dang.
Like, what are we doing here, right? What are we doing here?
That's crazy.
And so fast forward another, couple years, all of a sudden my hands started to break down. And you can see my hands look pretty normal now. They're beat up from the barbell. But I had I was later diagnosed with palmar psoriasis. And so what that was, it was essentially a hyperactive immune disease that your skin overproduced at a faster rate than what could actually have the skin cells on top fall off. So we're constantly producing new cells and new skin, right? And so it created essentially these canyons in my hand.
Wow.
That would just crack and just bleed. And so it got to the point where I was living with this and I would just wrap my hands up and go to the gym and try to hit weights, right? And not bleed all over barbells. It was kind of sick, but I protected things, right? And got to the point to where we had our first daughter in 2016. And I think it was probably like 18 or 19. I got to the point where it's just like, I can't live with this anymore. I got to figure this thing out because I went to change her diaper. And it was, the fabric of the diaper, it literally was tearing open my hands and making me bleed.
Wow.
I couldn't change my own daughter's diaper.
Wow.
I was like, I can't live with this anymore. So I went to the doctor. Doctor prescribed me with a drug called Otezla. It was kind of newer back then, but it's you'll actually see it on TV now.
Yeah, I see the ads.
Yeah. And so the ads with about 1 million different types of side effects, right?
Yep.
And so here I am, a fitness coach. I had no insurance, right? And so they want to give me this drug that cost me $35,000 a year.
Wow.
$35K a year. It's like,
dude,
as a fitness coach back then,
crazy.
As a fitness coach back then, it was like, dude, I'm not making 5K more than that, right? There's no way I can do this. So I said, please give me like all the samples that you can. And so they hooked me up like 4 months worth of samples. So I go home, I take it in about a week's time, my hands are cleared up. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely amazing. I've never felt this much relief. But I'm also a really healthy guy. Like I also have a strong belief that I should not be taking prescription drugs, only when I absolutely need to. So I look into Otezla and I see the actual chemical breakdowns, like what actually goes into the drug itself and each individual recipe. Of course, what has actually released, because I don't release everything for proprietary reasons. But I'm able to figure out, and it actually roots it back to just inflammation within the body. Right. So that was the biggest thing. So how can I replace this drug naturally? And so some of the things I did is I forget the name. It's like this organic valley grapeseed oil was one of them. It's something along those lines. The other one was like a very high potency curcumin. I was getting this stuff shipped in from like Amsterdam.
Oh.
So I started taking this and I slowly weaned my way off the Otezla. And it came back a little bit, but I upped the dose in these natural supplements and it went back away.
That's really cool.
And so, literally it's been probably 4 years since my hands have been quote unquote cured from it. And when I say quote unquote, is that one of the other issues, I went back and spoke to a functional med doctor, got myself tested, muscle testing. And what they found was in my gut, in my intestines, chemicals
Mm.
sitting there that never left my body going back to 2015, fast forwarding 5 years later. They were still sitting there. So the only way to actually cure myself of what I was struggling with was to get rid of the chemicals. And so massive detox.
I hear about that. Yeah.
It took probably 6-8 months to actually get it all out of me. And yeah, dude. So any way that you can explore more functional, outside the box type thinking methodologies to your health that doesn't involve putting more chemicals and more side effects into your body.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always told my clients back when I was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching was that, what if I could give you a magic pill, and this magic pill would help you lose weight, give you more energy. You'd be more productive with it. You'd probably make better decisions for your family and your business, right? You'd show up in a different way that you never knew possible because you actually feel normal. The normal that you feel now today isn't normal because you've been living with it for so long.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can probably relate with that.
Yeah, I hear you.
And the coolest thing about this drug is it doesn't have any side effects. 0 side effects. The side effects are probably increased libido, increased confidence.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Those are the side effects of it.
It.
Would you take that magic pill?
I'd take that magic pill.
That magic pill is eating whole, nutritious food, man. It's cutting out the BS. You say you want to feel like that. We'll see.
Well, let's do it. One of the things how did you take the process to see what was in that gut? Because I'm sure a lot of the listeners and even me, I want to know what's in my gut.
Yeah, specifically in my gut, you said?
Yeah, like when you found out that those chemicals were still built up and sitting there inside your gut, like how did you find that out?
Yeah, so I had a hack. I mean, I had a registered dietitian who works for me, and so obviously leaned into her. She took my blood work, took some things. She's like, hey, I think we need to take a deeper look. So then that's when I went out and reached out to a functional med doctor, and they do what's called muscle testing. So they'll take different vials of chemicals, flours, seasonal allergies, peanut butter, all just basically a lineup of all these things that you could potentially be allergic to or causing illness in your body. And so they basically go through a series of testing, muscle testing within your body to figure out what it is. So that was kind of the process that I took.
That's what I was asking for. Mm-hmm. Well, that's really cool, man. And let's move on. Like if you're ready to move on a little bit to AI.
Yeah.
Dude, like I've been playing around with a little bit of AI, and I'm gonna let you take it from here, and I'll ask you questions.
Yeah, man. We live in a really, really interesting world right now, and it's exciting to be part of it because what we've seen has never been seen in human history, I believe, right? You think of like the revolutions, the industrial revolution, like the technology revolution that we've seen in our grandparents' lifetime or our lifetime kind of combined. Like we have never seen this type of industrial shift ever.
No, I don't think so.
We talk about business, like the money that's going to be made this year, 2024, 2025, and the opportunities that are laid out are absolutely massive. It's turning into a multiple $1 trillion industry just like overnight because it's a race to see who can get the next thing out fastest. And that is kind of the scary part of it is that the law is so far behind on things and just takes so much time to actually put things in place. And if you guys are fans of Elon Musk or not fans of him, that's okay. He talks about this and he's like, I warned them to slow down on what they're doing within the world of AI. And just the rapid pace that we're moving at. It's literally like this curve that we're facing to where we're just skyrocketing. And so some of the things that are happening out there right now in the world of AI that I know about and probably 99.9% of the listeners don't know about is insane. Right. And to think about what I know about and what the government agencies and some of these other high level companies, you think of OpenAI, you think of Google, you think of Microsoft, Anthropic, all these AI type companies, what they know and what they have that we don't have access to, that's the scary part. Like what's really happening behind the scenes. But I'm excited about it. Like I bring a lot of energy to it because I'm a big believer that there is no stopping it at this point. There is no stopping it. We have to adapt with it or we will be left behind.
I think you asked the question I was going to just ask, and it's just like there's so many people, even especially in construction, because construction is a very blue collar industry, right? And so we like to say we have the old moral roots, right? And so we're really conflicted with the AI. Like, don't even get that close to us. It's just it's going to take us all out at one day.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say, like, what do you say to us that are skeptical? By the way, we'll get into this deeper, but I've been using ChatGPT because at EV12 you touched on a little bit.
Yeah.
So I've been digging into that. So, and I have a lot more questions about that, but I love what it has done for me as a person and getting to know myself, which we'll get into. But how do we get over that and realize that it's here to stay and we better embrace it or it'll take us over?
Yeah, I think the big thing is like we're all competitors in business, right? We all want to win. We all want to do the best for our business, for our employees, for our families. And we want to support that. And what I've seen is a lot of companies, not just in the construction industry, but you put these walls and these barriers up. But what's happening is that you still have companies in the construction industry, we'll use that as an example, right? Who are starting to adopt these practices. And they're going to be ahead of the curve. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next month, but because they're starting to adopt it and starting to use it and practice it and they're embracing it, what they're doing is what's the greatest resource that we can have in business? It's leverage.
Yeah, leverage.
And that's what this tool is.
I was going to say time, but
leverage helps with time.
Yeah. The leverage that I've seen with AI, what I've used it for has bought me time already.
Yes. Yeah. So if we can leverage and learn how to leverage AI within our business, that's what's going to excel us past our competition. So an example in the construction industry, there's a lot of different ways that we can bring this in, right? When I go in, so this is what I do full time now, is go in and audit businesses, specifically from their advertising to marketing to sales to fulfillment to internal systems and processes. And where can we increase workflow efficiencies, make them flow better, more efficient, right? More smoother by implementing automation and AI. And so it's really fun, right? It's like, okay, yeah. I get to see all these different businesses from a 30,000 foot view. And I say, awesome. Like, tell me, like, what's your typical workday look like? Awesome. Like, what type of mundane tasks are you doing? I'll get all breakdown. Cool. Here's where we can actually implement workflows, automation, and AI and save you guys, according to this, do you agree with this or not? Right. Is 150 hours per week.
Yeah.
By implementing this in. Right? Construction company, maybe that's part of the estimating process. Maybe that's part of...
That's where I'm focused the most is the estimating. Like I
use so much time, right?
Yeah, I use a cloud-based estimating software called Stack, which is it's a great process. And I feel like that they need to get a move on the AI focus. They really do. If someone else beats them out, I'm going to move over.
Yeah.
Because that takes so much time to just do that. And I feel like the AI can actually go read the plans for you if they would just implement it. Like if I would figure out how to implement it, I think they could read those PDF plans for me and publish to me what I already want to know.
It's already there, brother.
Yeah. And like I want it and I need it, but I haven't figured it out.
So here's the issue with it is there's not a specific software platform that's out there and built for it yet. I know there will be, but what I do for a lot of companies is I'll go in and whatever it is, information that they want to extract is we can build scrapers to say, hey, go to this estimating site, right? And I press a button and it scrapes all the information that I want, imports it into ChatGPT that you've trained and you've called prompt engineering. What that means basically is how do I speak to AI to get the result back that I want, the best possible result? And it's crazy. Companies are paying people $350,000 a year that know how to do prompt engineering just for that alone.
Wow.
To know how to speak to AI to be able to get the best possible result because the time and money that brings in. And so example, you train this bot on what specific data points to scrape from this site, exports it into a sheet that then exports into ChatGPT as an example, where you just create a prompt to skip that process. And now that gives you a detailed summary based off of training and how you like your summaries to be for the estimator done like this.
Wow. Yeah, that explains a lot. Like I'm not as ingrained into that, but that's a lot of what I'm working on right now is figuring out how to do what you just said. So that's really cool.
So now imagine that And so you probably go through like bid aggregators and you go to jobs, look for jobs that already have a poster on websites. Is that what you do? Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine this opportunity as well is you build a bot that can go and scrape out every single business. Do you do residential or commercial? Commercial. So you scrape every single business, right? So I'm just giving an example of what AI can do. AI will go out there and actually scrape businesses for you from Google. So they're verified emails and phone numbers. It'll export it into a Google sheet. It'll apply a tag. You can upload them into a software that then sends out an automatic email sequence that you built on the back end using ChatGPT to be able to help you do that, right? SMS campaign, because you have their phone number that came from the Google page as well. It's verified. But then there's also a webhook that goes in there that can create a custom video of you talking directly to that person and saying their name, their company name, their industry. It's all done automatically like this.
Wow.
That's where we're at right now.
That's crazy. Now I'm going to, whether this is jumping ahead of the conversation or not, but vid.io is someone that I'm thinking about getting a custom avatar building myself. Like tell me, is that a great idea to go to someone like that? And the reason why I'm doing that is I want to create, we have SOPs in the company, right? But I want to create a personalized video for each one of my new employees.
Yeah.
Right, with me talking. And instead of me going in front of the camera and talking about it, I want my custom avatar to do it, and I want to just type in the name of the new employee, and so it's a personalized video to that employee of training them on that.
How does that make them feel when they get a personal video from the CEO, right?
Yeah, and so I'm super excited about that. Like right now, we haven't got that system in place yet. So we just hired a new estimator that it's taken so much of my time to go and show him and everything in detail. But I literally could just take that, type it in, and that it'd be custom.
That's the power of leveraging AI, right? So not only are you using it for lead generation, you're using it for onboarding. You can use it for training. You can use it for nurturing. You can use it for building relationships with past commercial clients.
Yeah.
Hey, happy birthday. Just wanted to check in and say, thinking about you today. Quick little video just like that with a past client.
Yeah. Like I'm not that far yet, but I see that vision, and I may be reaching out to you at some point because that's a lot of information for me to go find out, where I can just hire a professional like yourself that already knows everything that can do for me. All we need to do is implement it.
Right.
You know, and so I do feel like at some point I will come to you, but I don't like doing something unless I know at least the basics of it.
Yeah, of course.
So I want to learn the basics of it and then come to a professional and say, look, I just know the basics. So I know an idea enough that you're not working with an invalid.
Yes.
Right? Because there's nothing worse than a professional working with someone that don't know what they're doing and that don't know what you're trying to get them to do. So I want to learn the basics of it and then come to a professional that can help me perfect it.
I think that's extremely important as a business owner, that you take extreme ownership over every aspect of your business, right? And if we're going to go spend money or invest on something, like, you have to know at least the basics. Yeah. And I see so many businesses get burned on Facebook ads, just as an example, right? And it's because you know nothing about Facebook ads. I've been there, right? And it's lots of lessons learned, lots of money lost because of it. I'm sure a lot of us have that story. But what happens if you actually go and you take a course and you invest 6 months of learning everything about Facebook ads that you can, and that you could probably run it, but your time is more valuable than running it. And so now you go hire an agency to run it, but you can at least oversee, and you say, hey guys, like, I see that you're not quite doing this right or up to my standard. Yeah. Because now you know what the internal system processes look like. Now that's when Facebook ads really start to work. Yeah. And same thing with AI and everything else.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm doing right now. Like, I thought about reaching out to you right after the program EV12, but I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently to you about it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm researching it. I'm getting to know it myself, and then we'll be reaching out to you. And I would encourage everybody. He gave us a little sample of what he can do at that seminar. Like, it's crazy. You need to go learn the basics and then reach out to my man here, Hudson. He will help you just blow up your business, and like he referenced to in the beginning, save you compact 3 days into one, if not more,
100%
by using that AI. And to us skeptics of AI,
of course,
listen, guys, we can't do anything about it. we can just embrace it
Mm-hmm.
and become the professional in our fields by using the AI. If we don't, someone else will. That's my stance on it.
Yeah.
If I'm not the one that's implementing that as a framing company, there's another framing company out that will implement it and leave me behind. All because what, I'm scared. You know, people were scared when the internet came out.
Yeah.
Now what is everybody doing?
Everyone's using it.
Yep.
There's two things that you either fall into, right? And this goes for every area of life. It's either the fear of the unknown in the future, or it's the faith of the unknown of the future.
I love that.
They're the exact same things. Besides, one has a positive connotation, one has a negative to it. Where are you pouring your energy into? Are you pouring your energy into the positive side, which I have faith that this is going to work, that everything's going to be okay? And if it's not okay, I'm open to that as well. But I still have faith. Or is it the fear that this isn't going to work? What does that lead to? Anxiety, depression, lack of, right?
I love that. I love that analogy. Like it's the same. The difference
one
between,
and the same.
Yeah, it's difference between someone that takes the unknown and becomes successful from it, or someone that takes the unknown and becomes depressed from it.
It's a 1 degree shift.
Yeah.
And so for those that feel like I don't know about this whole AI stuff, is like you said, it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. Leverage it.
Yeah.
Learn the basics. If you don't want to learn the basics, go work with someone that can help train you on it. And that's completely okay. And we spend, most people, I don't know, probably the majority, go to college, and we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a college education.
Yeah.
I know I personally did. I'm not using anything from college, right?
Yeah. I'm an 8th grade dropout, by the way.
Yeah. And so it doesn't matter, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
Right. Until you find what you're passionate about, that's where you pour your time and energy into. But learning and continuous growth, it takes 18 minutes a day to become an expert. 18 minutes a day. So if you can spend 18 minutes a day learning AI or whatever field, industry that you're interested in a niche type market, that you will then have about 109, I think it's 109.5 hours, if math is correct, 18 minutes a day. You will become more knowledgeable than the majority of America.
Wow.
18 minutes a day.
That's cool. And that's obviously scientifically proven. Yeah. That's really cool. See, these are the little hacks that people need to be open to. Like, one of the things that I'm big on is self-development. A lot of us blue collars, like, we kind of put our hands up against that self-development. I don't need that. I don't need that. The truth of it is we sit there and we try to improve our skills on a technique or the market we're in. But then what about ourselves? What about learning something? What about setting out, to your point, 18 minutes a day is all you need on one subject.
Yeah.
Set that out for self-development. Set that out for a new idea. Consider the fact that what you're doing right now may be the reason why you're not where you want to be. And all it does is take 18 minutes a day.
If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yep.
Period.
And I think it's so important that you need to focus on up here, not just your skill that your hand's doing.
The importance of having a coach or mentor, I would say, is one of the greatest importance. One of the most important facts that have helped me get to where I'm at is because I've been continuing to work with a coach or mentor for the past 5 years. And the biggest thing that they expose, one, they collapse time. Right? I probably had decades collapsed off my life because of that. But they expose blind spots. And it's so easy for us to have blind spots that we are not aware of, or we don't want to know or be aware of.
One of the things, and I want to go into that just before we say goodbye to our audience for today, but one of the things that I want to get into about that is, two things. First, what do you say to the person that says, I don't have the money to get the mentor? Because to get a real mentor, you need to pay their price. You need to show a commitment to them, right? Or they're not going to be committed to helping you. So what do you say to people that say, well, I don't have the money, so what do I do? The other thing is I lost a little bit there, but what do you say to someone that is skeptical about taking your coaching because you just want their money?
Mm.
So both questions are a little similar, but I know that's an objection that everyone has when they start talking about getting a mentor.
Yeah, I'd say that's the tough part is that there is, I don't know if it's an oversaturated market. I don't think it is, but there's a lot of coaches and a lot of mentors out there that say that they want to help, but do they really, right? Do they really have impact over income? Do they really not care as much about the income? They more, their number one priority is the impact on the individual.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you can find that out very quickly, you know, especially within a 90-day time frame. Are they showing up the way that they're showing up? And so the biggest thing that I would look for whenever you go to work with someone is the expectations that are laid out. And for me, whenever I work with a client, I ask them directly, what do you expect out of me from this relationship? Let's set some of the ground rules, just like you and your wife had, right?
Yeah.
What do you expect out of me during this relationship? Communication? Is it having fun? Is it delivering money? Is it what is it, right? Cool. What can I expect from you out of this relationship? Right?
Yeah.
Got it. So I write that list down. I say, are we both in agreement to honoring our word to this this contract that we just wrote down and just wrote, right? And so 100% of the time they say yes. And the moment that contract breaks is when I don't honor my word in honoring you to your word. If I let one little thing slide on this list that you told me that you were going to agree to, that you were going to have photos to me in the first 7 days. If I let that go to day 8, I didn't honor my word to you, allowing you to not honor your word to me. It's like, where else is that showing up in our life? But it's holding you to your fullest capacity. Like you might get upset with me because I'm calling you out. Like, brother, you told me like, you're going to get this to me by day number 7. Like figure it out. If it takes you till midnight, like get it to me.
Yeah, that's really cool. And that's a great way. I have one of my most impactful things as a kid was when my big brother stopped me and says, listen, if you would stop acting this way, people would love you even more. And that hurts so damn bad. But that is still my number one. If you ask me the one thing that changed my life as a kid, it would be that.
Yeah, everyone has that. How old were you?
I was 11.
Yeah, man. Trauma happens between the ages of 7 and 14, 100% of the time.
And so that impacted my life so much for the positive. Like it opened up the fact that he had the balls to just confront me about what was keeping me from being more popular at that time. You want to be popular with those your friends, right? And it just changed me. So from now on, it's like my mentors, I want you to call me out.
Yes.
The people that I coach, the people that look up to me, I'm going to call them out because that has been the most effective thing. So what would you say to skeptics? I'm not a skeptic. I actually put a lot of money into mentors. But there's a lot of people that's just like, dude, you're just wasting your money. Just like, well, no, I'm not. See my results. Where am I at? I don't want to be where you're at.
Yeah.
You know, that scarcity.
I think it's results don't lie. Numbers don't lie. Right. And I don't have statistics on this or anything, but I would be willing to bet that people who invest in some sort of a coach or mentor are further ahead than people who don't. Just from the people that I've been surrounded by. Again, I don't have exact statistics, but people that I've been surrounded by, that's what I see.
Yeah. One last thing, and I would 100% agree with that because I have, like I said earlier, I'm the last one of 11 kids. And I would dare say that if you compared my wealth, and I'm not just saying money, I'm just wealth, freedom.
Yeah.
I beat every one of my siblings. And
what about your friends?
That's changing, and that's what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
So that's the point I'm going to get into here. But that is changing, that is improving. But it all became I am also the only one of my siblings that have embraced mentorship, that have embraced self-improvement in the head, you know?
Yeah. And you asked a question earlier about money, and some of us may be struggling with money and don't have the opportunity to actually invest. You know, YouTube is a great mentor. Just start there, right? And have an accountability partner and be like, hey, we're going to spend a minimum 18 minutes per day.
Find someone. Yeah. I love your point, but real quick, like find someone that you can connect with character-wise
Yeah.
and reverse engineer what they did to get
Exactly. Just ask questions.
Yeah.
There's groups out there. I don't know the name of them, but there's a nationwide group that you can actually go in and you partner up with people who've owned businesses, and they're retired guys that just want to mentor younger people. And you can do that for free. There's a lot of opportunities out there, but I forget what I was going to comment on. There was something else, but yeah.
Well, let me come back to my point. You says, well, what about your friends? Like,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So over the last year or so, I was dealing with a lot of self-confidence, self-worth issues, a lot. And it wasn't until I met Brad and I told one of my guys I'm really close to here, I says, guess what? I am the most successful person in my whole group. I'm the most creative. Like I always love business. Like nobody's holding me accountable greater than where I'm at today in my group. So Brad is who I could connect with. So I told him, I'm going to go to this and I'm going to tell him directly, I am here to see you and get to know you. And we'll just see where it lands. And when I did that, I just took that leap and just says, look, man, I'm doing 20 million a year, but I'm the best one in my friend group. I need to upgrade and I'm here to get to know you.
Yeah. Who is it? It's not Jim Rohn. I think he's the one that's credited for it, but you are the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most.
Yeah.
What I like to say is that you're the 6. And who are your 6 people? And I think of 2 people that are, this ain't going to sound the best, but 2 people who are below you, essentially 2 people that you do not want to go back to being that person that you were. Right. And so they're constant reminders, but it's also an opportunity for you to mentor them to be able to come up to where you're at. Right. So now you have the opportunity to share and to help others grow. So that's impactful for yourself as well. 2 people who are at the same level as you. And so that way you can continually bounce ideas off of what's working, what's not working. And then 2 people who are above you who can help put a hand down and help pull you up to that next level, because high tide raises all ships, and you're only as weak as you're only as strong as your weakest link. And if you're constantly surrounded by people who you're the biggest, baddest dude in the room, like no one's lifting you up.
Yeah. Nobody's holding you accountable to be greater.
Yeah.
And I had one of my best friends he kind of like, as friends do when they realize that you're hiking, right? They just like, well, do you just think you need better friends or all this stuff? And it's just like, no, it's not that. What it is I need friends that will hold me accountable to being greater.
Yeah.
It's not about me thinking I'm better than you. It's not about me down on you. We're not holding each other accountable to be greater.
We enter these covert contracts with our friends and says, hey, if you don't call me out on this, I won't call you out on it.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
Example, like you and I are in the garage doing air squats, and we both say like, hey, we're going to get an amazing workout in today. Like, here's what an air squat looks like. And we start going through the workout, and we both get tired, and we start cutting corners on our air squat, and we don't go down full depth. And I look over at you, and I'm like, should I say something? Should I not say something? And all of a sudden I don't say anything. And then that automatically gives me permission to not hold myself accountable to the standard.
Yeah.
And what happens to our standard? Our standard then drops. But what if I call you out on it? Maybe you get pissed off at me. Cool. That's a reflection of yourself that you need to do some inner work in. Right? Yeah. But I honor my word and I hold you accountable to the standard. So what happens to that standard now? That standard now raises.
Yeah. And if you help other people hold to their word, it holds you to your word.
Yeah.
So naturally.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Man. So
and
true.
So it's great. Well, thanks for coming out, Hudson. And I know our listeners are going to love every bit of this. And thanks, guys. Hey, go ahead and share this to all your friends, because there's not one friend you have that won't benefit from this, not one family member that won't benefit from this. It will, if you will just share this and say, this is my thoughts, they'll love you for it. And go ahead, like and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next week.